to Sugar Coated. I'm your host, Adrienne Garland, the CEO and founder of She Leads Media. For far too long, women have been conditioned to sugarcoat their words, their actions, and the way they show up in the world, and to conform to certain cultural norms and ideals. This is inherently designed to keep those who are outside of the norm from gaining power, prestige, wealth, and influence, preventing more women from being recognized and respected as the powerful leaders that we truly are. Join me each week as we dive into raw conversations with remarkable, uncompromising, and inspirational women that will encourage you to strip away your sugarcoating and move boldly in the direction of your magnificent dreams. Hi, everybody. This is Adrienne Garland, and welcome to Sugar Coated, my podcast where I talk to women and sometimes a man or two about their entrepreneurial journey and their leadership story. The reason that I wanted to hop on today and do a little solo episode here is because over the last couple of weeks, I have been speaking to different people about their entrepreneurial journeys. And one of the things that I've observed is that people more and more are thinking not only about the business model, the profits that they're making, how to generate revenue, but also about the impact that they're making on the planet, on other people, on employees and contractors that they're hiring to do the work. And I really am loving this shift in perspective. And I think that it is all directly a result of coming out of this pandemic. And we're not out of it. So I think that that's being a little bit too optimistic, the fact that we are out of the woods on this pandemic. There are so many other variants that are popping up and other viruses that are affecting us. I think that we are all going to have to get used to living in this world where viruses can spread like wildfire, as they do, and we are going to have to live within it. These last 2 years have been super difficult on people in all manner of ways. And sometimes I think we don't even realize how negatively it has impacted all of us. I know that sometimes we are in this place of just, operating, trying to grow our businesses and really think about things in a hyper-focused way, which is great, right? We want to be focusing in on what it is that we're doing. At the same time, we can't forget about the environment that we're operating within. I think that it's super important for all of you to know a little bit about me and who I am and the journey that I'm on as you're listening into this sugar-coated podcast. I need to, at times, turn the microphone on myself and let you know about my story in a way that is authentic and genuine and not sugar-coated. I think a lot of you who listen in know me, at least through the conferences that I've put on since 2013, or the fact that you know me professionally, or you're sort of in the same business or professional or personal circles that I am. So I think a lot of you know, what my story is, how I came up, how I was in the corporate world, how I switched from working in corporate to starting my own business, and how I've struggled, quite frankly, along the way, even though I have all of the, credentials and things that I need in my toolbox in order to succeed. I haven't achieved the level of success with the She Leads Media business as I would have liked to, or that I would have hoped that I would have been able to achieve by now. That's not to say that She Leads Media is not successful. It very much is. It's just not this, wildly successful revenue generating, profit generating business that I had hoped that it would be. That said, this business has given me so much. It has given me freedom. It has given me the ability to connect with people that I might not otherwise have connected with because I do have this platform. It gives me an outlet for my creativity. It allows me to bring people on and to work with them and to mentor them. And it's opened the door for me for some of the other things that I'm doing now in my life that I truly love and that bring me a lot of joy. A couple of those things are my teaching. I work as an adjunct instructor at NYU. In the Tisch Center for Hospitality, I teach entrepreneurship and business plan development in the event management program, both at the graduate level and at the undergraduate level. I have been teaching there for a little bit more than 2 years, and I've done everything from in-person to online to hybrid, and it's all been amazing, challenging. And I have met incredible people in the students that have come through my class. And I know it might seem cliche, but I truly do learn as much from them as I hope that they learn from me and my experiences. And I try to make every class that I teach unique and different while also covering the material that obviously needs to be covered. I try to change things up from time to time. And the fact that I'm able to bring that type of creativity and also bring in guest speakers and people that can add to the class, it's something that I just really love to sort of curate and put out there. The other institution that I teach at is the wonderful Rice University in Houston, Texas. I teach at the Jones at MBA program, which is the online MBA program. I teach a class called The New Enterprise. Sorry, I blanked for a second there because I talk about how we create new ventures, but it is called The New Enterprise. And I also teach something that is wonderfully special to me and that has brought such incredible joy to my life and has sort of checked off one of the boxes that I had been wanting to incorporate in my life. And that class that I teach, it's called the Global Field Experience. And I'm a faculty member that takes MBA students on to different countries, and they work with startup businesses within those countries. And they work on one project for a certain amount of time, and they offer their expertise in a real life environment. And what I get to do as part of that is sort of, be the mentor, be the guide as much as I possibly can be alongside a whole team of incredible people. But I get to go on this journey with these students, with the faculty, and with an outside travel group that has relationships in country. And everything comes together so incredibly beautifully. And I get to travel to places like Lima, Peru, Berlin, Germany, Santiago, Chile, and others coming up soon. I truly believe that, if you follow your dream, if you follow your passion, if you pursue excellence in what you're doing, sometimes opportunities come up that you had no idea even existed. And this global field experience is that for me. So I just kind of wanted to give everybody a little bit of an update on the full picture of my life, my professional life. I have this incredible, aspect of my world, which is teaching. And then I also have this incredible aspect of my life, which is my professional life, which is being the CEO of She Leads Media. I have incredible clients that I work with and help them to refine their marketing and get visibility for themselves. I mainly work with women entrepreneurs at this point in the business trajectory. And another thing is that She Leads Media truly is this platform that allows women to get their voices, thoughts, and opinions out into the world. And a couple of ways that She Leads Media facilitates that is we offer conferences to the public, mainly in New York City. We take people on business/personal retreats and help them really dive into their business, their goals, their objectives. We have an entire podcast network full of women who are experts in their field, and also who, want to demonstrate and showcase their thought leadership, their creativity, their hobbies, and anything else in between. So our She Leads Media podcast network is a platform for women to go deep on any topic that they feel is relevant for them and for their lives, and then for the public at large. The podcast network is something that I'm very proud of creating and growing. And this podcast, the Sugar Coated podcast, is part of that network, along with a handful of other shows right now. We are growing, and I do encourage you, if you are listening into this podcast right now, I encourage you to do a couple of things that can truly help the women that are on the podcast network, but all women in general. And those things are to really listen into women-led podcasts, right? Listen into the stories that we tell, how we tell them, and why we tell them. And make sure that you are rating and reviewing and giving, really great feedback and ratings, especially to these women-owned podcasts. I would love it if you would give the Sugar Coated podcast a rating and a review. And the reason that I'm asking for this is not for ego-driven purposes. It is because when you proactively rate and review podcasts, the algorithms for those podcasts see what you're doing, see that the public thinks that these things are good. And so it helps to surface those podcasts, those shows. And so you taking the action of saying, hey, I really like what this woman has to say, and I really like the show that she's created. And even if it's not perfect, right? Because seldom are our shows, are our thoughts, are our businesses perfect, but we are all striving toward something. And so even from that perspective, if you sort of give a woman podcaster on our network, including myself, or any other network or independent show, that 5-star rating, you are directly contributing to helping to get women's voices out into the world. And I've said this before, I don't believe that women are better than men or men that are better than women. However, so much of our world is sort of stacked against women and for men. And so we have to proactively do things in order to balance that out. Okay. And so that is why I'm asking you to take a proactive action and, make it a practice of yours. It doesn't take much time. It doesn't take much effort. It's clicks. You don't have to pay for anything at all. It's hitting stars and giving a quick little review. That small action can help so many people, including this podcast, including this network. So I am thanking you in advance for taking your time out and taking that action. The other part of She Leads Media that's really, really special is something new that we are bringing out into the world, and that is a publishing platform. So along the lines of helping women to uncover, discover, and put their ideas, their thoughts, their opinions, their stories out into the world, we are introducing a publishing division. Now, we have tried to do this in the past, and I think it just wasn't the right time. But now I have sort of gathered a small tribe of people around me, and I personally, Adrienne Garland, am embarking on writing a book. And I've asked a handful of people if they would come along on that journey with me. So that is our first foray into the world of publishing. So I know that I'll be publishing my book, and I hope that the other women that are going through this journey with me will be publishing their books as well under the She Leads Media publishing platform. She Leads Books or She Leads Publishing. So, sort of tune in, keep your eyes peeled for some amazing women, new women authors that will be showcased on the She Leads Media platform. And finally, another thing that She Leads Media does and has done since 2013 is we have put on extraordinary conferences for women entrepreneurs and leaders. And what we do is we bring in experts who have been there, done that, and can offer incredible, practical, actionable advice to others who are seeking expertise to get to the place that the experts are at, maybe quicker, maybe with less pain, maybe with, spending less resources and time in order to get there. These conferences have been one of the most special, unique, and magical experiences that I have ever created and curated. And not only that, and I'm humble when I say this, I've never been to conferences that are as special as the She Leads Media conferences. And I clearly am biased, but I say that because I know what I do in order to make those conferences so special. I pour all of myself into them, my heart, my soul, my thought, my intelligence, my knowledge of who my audience is and what it is that they're looking for, and then my curiosity about things that I don't know about that I want to learn more about. I know for sure that I do not know everything. And in fact, I consider myself to be a lifelong learner. So when I gather these incredibly intelligent and accomplished people around me, I learn so much. And it is multidimensional what I learn, not only just about the content and the topics that they're talking about, but also, what it takes to build relationships, what it takes to sort of, sell tickets in order to position things. It really touches on absolutely everything. And one of the things that I love to talk about when it comes to entrepreneurship is I always tell people, I tell students, I tell people, when you start a business, no matter what, who you are shows up in that business. So anything that you're afraid of, anything that gets in your way, those things kind of come to the surface in your business. So the more that you can know about yourself and who you are, the more able you are to, see those things for what they are and without judgment, find a way around them so that those things do not stop you. An example of that is, let's say somebody is afraid of talking to people. Well, if that person started a business and they need to sell something, if they're afraid of talking to people, they're going to have a really hard time making any money at all. So they could do a couple of different things. They could take courses in order to get over the fear. They can, really work on themselves. Or if that is not something that they feel like is worth their time and energy, they can enlist someone else to help them so that at least they can delegate that task over to somebody who loves to talk and loves to build relationships with people and loves to sell. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's super smart to do, especially if you are the person in your own business who is the block. I say all of this because I just want everybody to know who it is behind the mic at Sugar Coated. It's me. It's Adrienne Garland. And what you hear is who I am. This is how I show up wherever I am. What my primary aim is to share with all of you real talk, share with all of you a little bit about who I am and why I do the things that I do and how those things have shaped me. And so over the course of the next couple of months, I will maybe go back and let you know a little bit more about my origin story, that goes back even farther than, I came out of corporate and now I'm an entrepreneur. It's a lot deeper than that. And I want to let you know that I would love to hear from you what you thought about this episode, what you think about the Sugar Coated podcast. If you have any questions whatsoever about starting your own podcast or what it takes to be a part of the She Leads podcast network, if you're interested in coming to the conference, if you're just interested in engaging in the community, the She Leads community, we do have a place for that too. You can find all of this at sheleadsmedia.com. And I think everybody knows how to contact me at this point. You can fill out the contact form. You can send me an email. You can follow me and She Leads Media on social media. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I am reachable, and it is my goal to help as many women, entrepreneurs, and leaders as I possibly can to keep moving forward and to continue to share our ideas, thoughts, and opinions in the world through a multitude of different media channels. So thank you so much for listening into this episode today. And again, I would like to ask you to please, if this resonates with you in any way whatsoever, to share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Get them to listen into the Sugar Coated podcast, to listen into all of the other podcasts that are on the She Leads podcast network, and to go ahead and just, give us a 5-star rating so that we can help to elevate women's voices. Thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing from some of you, hopefully all of you, very soon.